other webinars that will be coming over. And these webinars will be delving deep into various spectrum of work. And we'll be looking at various aspects like the role of AI in the legal systems, the role of AI in automating data and making work done easier, especially those in the bank sector and other financial institutions. We also look at other areas like the media and AI. How can we automate our production in the studios? And other areas, and I always urge you to always come up into the site, this site of AI, Global Innovation Forum, so that you can be having up-to-date information regarding AI. So basically, my role at this moment is to bring you to speed of what is going to happen today, and also tomorrow, as we try to delve into the deeper understanding of AI in this 2 days webinar. So allow me again to inform our participants that we will be having other programs that we hopefully be giving you out as we delve into these discussions. But again, feel free in the session that will be open for open dialogue and discussion to have a share of your conversation on what you think and what you feel would be the direction of AI. So, Mr. Moderator, I thank you very much. Basically, that is what I wanted to pass on to our participants. I believe I'll have my technical expertise presentation in day 2. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time, and I hope to see you tomorrow as we delve deeper into the conversation of AI in the other aspect, especially in the academia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the professor for the keynote address. At this point, we note that AI has come to be with us. Let's move on to the next item, and therefore I invite Professor Robert to come and talk to us. Prof, welcome.
Okay. Give me a moment here to share my screen. That slideshow from the beginning. Okay, very good. Can you all see my screen?
Very well, Prof.
Okay, thank you. First and foremost, to the full team and Dr. Nordine, thank you for inviting me to today's webinar. Just to give you my perspective, and really today is really going to be my perspective. As you mentioned in my bio, I've been in executive management and consulting and now education for over 35 years. So as you folks can see, there's a lot of gray hair up here. Okay, so I'm going to give you some comparative situations to AI and what I've seen over the years and give you my perspective. My perspective is mine only. It's not the perspective of Rivier University. So please keep that in mind. So let's move forward. So today's discussion really is about career management, and at least from my perspective, and CEOs and folks that I talk to along the way, and most importantly, my emerging leader students, as Dr. Noriega has as well. The big challenge right now is from a career management perspective. That I'm sure all of you every day are concerned about your careers and how does AI play in that? What should I be doing? Are we going to lose jobs? And I talk a little bit about that today, at least from my perspective. But the job market itself, and again, I've seen a lot over the years, but it's becoming increasingly challenging, unruly, and quite frankly, unfair in many ways. And you have to have it in perspective. It's a full-time job to find a full-time job, and in many times to keep a full-time job. So, as I mentioned earlier, the goal of this session is to provide some hopefully helpful information on how AI can be embraced. And I think if I'm gathering the theme of all this, it's really about embracing AI right now and taking the fear out of it. But more in line with what I'm speaking about today is from a career management perspective. So I just gave you, and again, you all, especially our speakers here, are AI experts. It's all about machine learning and simulating human learning. We all know about that. But the key points in here are problem solving and decision making. Computers, at the end of the day, are going to make some decisions, but quite frankly, in my humble opinion, it takes people and leaders and soft skills and people that have been there, done that, to use AI to make intelligent decisions. As Dr. Nordine said earlier, it's about making quick decisions with the best information possible. So again, this is really more from an information gathering standpoint. And again, I'll talk a little bit about some of the comparables along the way that I've seen in 35 years. But first and foremost, again, I brought together some statistics from 2023, about the usual weekly earnings and the unemployment rate. All of us on this call are proponents of education in many ways. I got my first master's degree when I was 30 years old. When I was in technology, at British BAE. And I knew the need of a master's degree if I was going to pursue, senior management roles. But now professional degrees and doctoral degrees, almost these degrees now are becoming, what's the word? They're almost mandatory. If your intention is to advance. But key factors over here to the right-hand side, are the unemployment rates. Well, again, I'm a proponent of having a master's degree and even a doctorate. But it is in line with ensuring that you've got the education and work experience really to apply it. So just interesting to see there isn't really a lot of, at least from a professional doctorate degree, master's degree, much differential change there. But as we all know, getting that high school and college degree and associates and bachelor's is critically important. From there, we really have to be careful about pursuing advanced education to make sure that we can apply it with experience that we have. I've changed my career, not my career. I've been a business executive for 35 years, but I went from nonprofit sector to manufacturing, to banking, to finance, and then, quite frankly, I'm landing at Informatica 5-6 years ago, getting into software development and a very big proponent of AI. Just my role changed, and I just changed with sensing where the markets were going and what skills that I had. But I just thought this would be helpful information for you folks to see here, the top fastest growing occupations that are out there. Now, I don't think folks on this call, and correct me if I'm wrong, are looking to be physician's assistants or medical health service managers. You might. That's okay if you're going to make that switch. But look over in here, to data scientists and information security analysts, computer and information research scientists. I mean, those are significant salaries. Okay, so if that's where you're going, you've got to understand and stay abreast with AI, how to apply it, how to use it, and how to take that data and apply it and sell a solution. Now, within the labor force, and again, I'm I think as you folks can know, I'm up here in the dark color up at the top. So I'm up there. So, but the rest of you that are probably here in the middle someplace, you're getting to see the demographic now. And interestingly enough, the 55 to 65-year-old, no disrespect, but we're not going anywhere. Okay. We still want to learn and we still want to apply. But quite frankly, we want to give back. And that's what I'm doing. I'm doing some of that today. We want to give back because we've been blessed and fortunate, with experiences that, we've been able to have. And it's important that we pass that on in such a challenging world dynamic that we're in right now. So there's just some interesting data. So I wanted to start with really more about the economy and the job market and growing skills as we get into AI. So to me, and I just want to give you some comparables, and I know Dr. Nordine will understand where I'm going with this. In the late '80s, when I entered the high volume manufacturing semiconductor world, ERP systems, enterprise resource planning, MRP systems with a rage. The scare then was the buyers and the planners and the program managers are saying, oh, ERP is going to take our job away. It's going to do all the analytics for us. Not the case. Okay. It took great people to manage that data. Again, if you're changing a Tesla factory over, your ERP systems are running all that data, okay, to make it quicker, faster, better. We went from that, and then in the mid '90s, I'll never forget one of my engineering managers, came into my room and he showed me this thing called America Online. I was like, "What's this?" I'm like, "Great, that'll be gone in a week." Well, little did I know, AOL was the really one of the beginnings of the whole internet from there. But again, the scare then was, oh, the internet's going to take people's jobs. Well, it didn't. It helped us grow the economy. It helped us be a worldwide transaction player, all countries around the world, in trading goods and services. So I think it's really about a mindset right now. Think of it as a tool. Think of it as a new resource for you in the business world. You got to understand the strengths and limitations. And again, I'm not going to get into all this because I'm not an AI expert. But again, I've seen all these tools come in and out, and I'll give you my perspective. So the speakers later today and tomorrow will tell you more about the role of AI and its strengths and limitations. But to me, it's really more about embracing the new frontier. So with that said, and I'm sure many on the call have heard about branding, you have to develop your own personal brand. Okay, I have one. I'm sure Nadine could explain to you my brand is a little different than others. I speak from experience. I speak, in a helping mode, and try to have fun and solving complex problems. So you've got to establish your brand and develop strong relationships. That will never, ever go away. I don't care if AI becomes the most powerful tool, it probably is, that everyone's using every day. You've got to have your own brand and be able to use these tools. And secondly, Danya, don't be nervous about AI. Okay, learn to use it, work with it. Again, I've only been using it in the last year. My professor style, I tell the students, feel free to use AI, okay, but I want you to be able to defend the data. Defend the data when it comes time for you to present. And don't copy, cut, and paste. Make sure you understand it and you own that data. This is really a key point. And all this information that I'm sharing with you today, this comes from a great Forbes article. I can get that over to Nordine at some point, but this is something that resonated with me well. So that's why I'm presenting it today. AI won't replace jobs. Well, it will in some extent, but I'll consider those more entry-level jobs. Okay, it's going to replace non-high paying, boring administrative tasks that everybody hates to do, especially those entering the business world. Usually you get stuck, researching invoices and customer data and all that. It's going to replace some of those jobs, but I think it's going to enhance the job, to make it quicker, faster, and better. As I've said earlier, I'm a huge proponent of continuous education, even at my senior age. Okay. LinkedIn, Coursera, make sure that you're just not limiting yourself to, if it's ChatGPT you like, or some of the other ones, the flavors of the day. Don't limit yourself to those. Okay. Become aware and test and explore those other tools out there. Okay. The real message in here, at least within this slide today, is your human skills, your soft skills have to keep up with AI. Because if you cannot present the data in a personable, professional way, it's lost to the audience. It's like today, if I'm not presenting this in a way that you can understand it, then Nordine will tell me, Bob, you didn't do a good job getting that message across because I didn't use my soft skills. Okay, that's what I'm trying to do today. Okay, so keep developing those interpersonal skills. Great point in here. AI is not going to replace you, but someone who uses it better will. Okay? Learn to master human skills like creativity, empathy, decision making while leveraging AI as your assistant. And that is the key role, as your assistant. You've got to consider that and make sure that AI is your right hand, not your brain. Yeah, and again, I know I'm talking a lot about it, but my original undergraduate degree was in psychology and counseling. Okay, I was a psychologist and caseworker before I entered the business world. So to me, I was able to utilize creativity and emotional intelligence and adaptability, as I learned the business roles. But then the last 20 years, technology has embraced me, which was new to me. My first course was, I don't know if any of you remember, Nordine, my basic programming. I had that in college. I flunked it miserably. Okay, I wasn't a programmer. I learned that quickly, but I was interested in using programming and the output of programming to help me in my future. Double down on those skills that AI can't replace. And this is critically important. AI isn't going to have a tough conversation with, one of your employees because they're continuously late in submitting their data analytics information to you for a customer. Okay, AI isn't going to be able to do that. Okay, AI isn't going to replace you as a leader. All right, it's your assistant to help you lead. Focus in on that human edge with AI as your silent partner. The human emotional component is irreplaceable, okay? And we've seen it. People of high intelligence, of high engineering capabilities, or multiple degrees and experience upon experience are put into leadership positions, but they fail miserably because they haven't developed their soft skills and that human emotional component. So remember that as you embrace AI as your assistant. Focus on skills that differentiate you, okay? You need to leverage AI, not fear it, but you're differentiate. I mean, and we see it, the different professors that I'm pleased to work with, we're all different in a number of different ways. Which makes us interesting. It's really about enhancing your job. Okay, AI will replace you as a tool if you've decided to be just an administrator, okay, and create reports. You've got to upskill your role with two things, with AI knowledge, okay, and those soft skills like creativity, professionalism, presentation skills, and your writing skills. As Warren Buffett says, one of the most important skills that anyone can ever have is to communicate and to write. AI isn't going to replace all that. Continuous learning, again, we've talked about that. Keep learning. Don't give up. Learn AI. You know, there's 3 generations of AI right now that we're seeing. There's going to be a 4th and a 5th. You're going to have to keep up with that. But again, and I go back to this, focus on those uniquely important human skills like emotional intelligence, creativity, and critical thinking and adaptability. AI is a sparring partner and enabler, and as we said earlier, is an assistant. So closing thoughts from Bob here today. Understand AI, okay? You've got to understand it, where it's derived, what its limitations are, what its quality level is, but don't depend on it. If you're depending on AI to do your job, you will be replaced. I've hired, and I am always being hired or considered to be hired because I can pivot fast, gather relevant data, and make a logical, educated decision. Don't be a parrot. Don't take that information and try to repeat it. Make it yours with your own style. Jobs are being eliminated. Don't let it be yours. Keep learning. Read consistently, analyze data, consider new ideas, and build a broad knowledge base. It's like going to a buffet. You want a lot of things on the buffet, at least when I go to the buffet. I want a lot of different foods, a smorgasbord of different things. So you want that smorgasbord in your portfolio. I'm a big proponent of Plan B, okay? When I decided to part ways with corporate America, my Plan B was to become a full-time professor. I started on that in 2015, 10 years ago. And only within the last year, I've become a full-time professor. But I've been teaching for 10 years. Have a plan B, a side hustle, and an entrepreneurial idea. Keep those juices going. So what's the switch? I'm not a doctor, but if I was a physician, my recipe or medicine for success would be education plus technology plus experience, plus failure. Don't be afraid of failure. I've fortunately succeeded one more time than I failed, okay? And that's all that matters at the end of the day. Plus learning, plus EI, which is emotional intelligence. EI is just as important as AI, and that's the message for today. And don't ever quit. That's my bio. I've been around a long time. I've been fortunate and blessed in my career with mainly executives and senior management positions. And here I am now, partnering with Dr. Nordin to train some of the best young professionals in the world. Thank you so much for hearing me today. Any questions?
Yes, Professor Robert, thank you very much for the insightful presentation. I think let's invite someone with something for Professor to respond to.
Let me ask it a different way. Does anybody disagree with what I have to say?
Okay. Very good. So,
okay, thank you.
Yeah, silence may mean all is well.
That's good news.
Yeah. So, permit me invite Dr. Sam to lead us through a discussion to discuss the paper. Dr. Sam, are you there? We are entering an open discussion. And Dr. Sam will take us through. Dr. Sam.
All right, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're loud and clear.
All right, great. Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to just take this moment to thank the presenters, beginning with Dr. Katerega, who opened up this discussion, and Dr. Robert for the wonderful insights and the great presentation about artificial intelligence It's actually my absolute pleasure, first of all, to welcome all of you to this exciting and timely webinar in AI and education. This platform has been created to bring that transformation and encourage people to adopt artificial intelligence as this is a new norm. And thank you for taking time to join us in this insightful and engaging forward-thinking discussion. Education, as we know, is very pivotal in and the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence is actually shaping how we teach, how students learn, and how educational institutions operate. If you followed keenly Professor Robert's presentation, he highlighted a lot of that. So with AI-driven technologies, we now have tools to personalize learning experiences, to improve the students' engagement, and also to enhance teaching efficiency like never before. So the question before us is no longer whether AI belongs in education, but rather how can we effectively and ethically integrate AI to maximize its benefits.
It's okay. I'm attending the phone. Oh.
Thank you. What can you expect from this webinar? We have just been given a taste of what we expected, and what we're going to see tomorrow will be diving deep into how we can utilize artificial intelligence in teaching and learning and bring about the learning experiences or improving the learning experiences, empowering educators and also the students. Through different AI-driven solutions. So we have talked about how to effectively use AI in teaching, AI-powered tools, and how we can support education. We're going to dive deeper into that tomorrow. So I'm going to open this floor for any question or anybody who has any suggestions or anything regarding today's presentation. Let's just hear from each. If you want to raise your hand, I'll be able to see that, and we can give you a moment to comment. As we wait for that, let me recognize a team from Gulu University, those who joined. Also, let's recognize Kenya School of Government. They send their professors and many students who are watching live from their live channel. I want to recognize them as well. Do we have anybody with a burning question? So let's look at, I'm just going to do some quick tour of AI in different sectors. And it's going to be a quick, I don't know if I can share my screen. Doctor, am I allowed to share my screen?
Yes, I believe so. You can.
Okay.
Sam, we have Dr. Opol from Gulu University. He would like to ask to say something.
Dr.
Yes,
Paul,
Dr.
go
Paul,
ahead, please.
Please go ahead and speak. Dr. Paul, are you there? You probably have your mic mute. Check. Great. As Dr. Sam, we have a question in a message from Patrick Okot, Gulu University. He's asking, how can we leverage the power of AI to develop publishable research papers.
So, any first before I respond to that, anybody with any insights on that before I give a comprehensive response to Patrick? All right, so Patrick, that's a very good question, and thank you for asking that. When it comes to leveraging the power of AI in developing publishable research papers, there are a number of perspectives that I want to look at. One, it involves using advanced tools and techniques that could help streamline research, enhance analysis, or just improve the writing process. So we can use AI to streamline the research, to enhance our analysis, to improve the writing process. There's a step-by-step process about this. For example, if you're doing research, we are familiar with the literature review, right? So AI-powered tools can be utilized, to generate research ideas, to analyze the trending topics, for example, in the field that you want to study. And then you can also employ AI to find papers based on keywords, citations or abstract. You can use AI to summarize multiple papers. For example, you're reading a paper that is maybe 10 pages, 20 pages, and you only have 5 minutes to read that paper. So you can use AI to summarize the paper for you so you can understand in summary what the paper talks about. And again, you can use AI tools, for example, to analyze videos. If you go to a YouTube link, you can copy the URL for the video and, for example, send it to AI to analyze a video, to summarize a video for you. So you don't have to watch the 2-hour video to understand what the video is about. But in a nutshell, you can use AI to provide that summary to help you understand the literature. When it comes to other components of research, like maybe hypothesis testing, research frameworks, you can use tools like ChatGPT or things like Cloud to help in refining your research questions, the theoretical framework. So you can put in what you think should be the research questions on the chat, for example, and then request the chat to help you refine that research question or the theoretical framework. Other tools like AI-powered research assistants can help you structure research frameworks. So the usage of AI is actually unlimited. AI can help you generate hypotheses based on existing researches, develop those frameworks that you want to explore further, and also come up with research models using the different insights in AI. As regarding data collection, I may point out tools like Python, for example, can be used in processing data or machine learning. Tools like Microsoft Excel that now has AI add-ins, Tableau, Google Sheets, can be used for visualization of data. So that can be used when you're doing your analysis, and it's very, very instrumental. So automating and data cleaning, processing, that can be perfectly done with the help of AI. So instead of doing it manually or using other statistical tools, which can be repetitive, you want to outsource that repetitive job to AI models, and they'll be able to take care of it for you. So we can leverage AI-powered tools in data collection and analysis. What about just general writing of the paper? We can use tools like GPT, Grammarly, Quillbot, to assist you in writing, to paraphrase, or to check your grammar, to check the structure of the language, just to make sure that everything is in sync and follows the professional writing standard. So AI can be used in different ways. Proofreading your work, you can use AI to copy edit. There's a lot that you can do with AI, and I believe that answers your question, Robert. Any other question?
Thank you. Yes.
Or if you have a follow-up question.
I still have more questions. This is from Hassan Gava. Oh, he's called Christian. Christina Oyo is a PhD student at Gold University. She's on YouTube and asking, are there any specific AI tools aligned to the specifics in learning and teaching? Farouk Lobega, also on YouTube, asking, how can AI assist judges in execution of their duties? Okello Lawrence Own, he says, thanks for the great insight you are giving us. My question is on scholarship. Some scholarship bodies are very keen on usage of AI. They sometimes take that when we use the AI tool, it is plagiarism. How can then the use of this tool in a way that it is acceptable? I will read two more and then you can respond. Dr. Jerry Bagaya is the academic registrar of Gulu University. He's asking a question. There are issues around uptake of automations in public institutions. How do we address mind change, especially when adopting usage of AI in teaching and learning? Thank you, Doctor. Lastly, for now, Job is asking, how can educators be effectively trained to leverage AI tool in their classroom while maintaining their pedagogical expertise? Over to you.
All right. So I definitely, I'm going to open up this for the panelist, Professor Robert, Dr. Katerega. Let's all come in. But before I bring my colleagues here, let me respond to Christine, and I believe that was Lubeg. Let me see. The
Christine.
name was...
And Christine Oyo.
Yeah, Farouk. Yeah. So let me respond to this too for now. So Christine asked, was it Christine?
Yes.
Yeah, Christine. So she said, I would say that, yes, there are several AI tools that are specifically designed to enhance teaching and learning, and by personalizing content, automating the task, or pretty much the repetitive task, and also providing that real-time feedback. A number of them, I cannot mention all of them, but there are a lot of them. So let me start by AI-powered content creation. We can use ChatGPT or Cloud AI to generate, for example, lesson plans. And we can use that to generate quizzes or teaching materials. And we can use, for example, another tool called Canva or Dell. Canva, you can use that to create your teaching ads, teaching aids, infographics, and you can build other materials from Canva as well. If you want to build like a logo, you can go to Canva. If you want to build pretty much anything you want to build, you can go to Canva and you can build it on Canva. You can build a website. You can build anything from Canva. So that's part of content creation. We also have adaptive learning, tools for adaptive learning. And the one I could talk about from off of my mind is Century Tech is one I came across. It's used to tailor the coursework. There's Google, there's one product by Google that is to help tutor students, and then we have the things like language processing system. So the language, the tools that we can use to, like Duolingo, to translate, to offer translation services, and so on. So we also have tools that you can use for assessment and grading and automation. So these are things like Turnitin. You write your paper and then you submit this in order for the paper to be tested for integrity. So we test the paper to make sure it passes a plagiarism test. It goes through plagiarism detection, and it will tell you whether your work is AI written or it's actually human written. So Turnitin is a good example of such kind of tools. We also have things like Quill. Quillbolt, does help you generate quizzes and also just to proofread your work. So there's a lot of tools out there that we can utilize Farouk is asking, how can we use AI, for example, to assist in judges execute significantly enhance judicial processes by improving efficiency? It helps reducing the backlog and also ensuring that there is a fair judgment. Some of the key ways AI can assist judges, like in legal research, AI can be used to provide like the case law, precedents. We can go through the precedents using the AI tools you can use that. We can have something like the Rose intelligence, using AI to analyze documents, to analyze legal documents, and also to just help suggest the case strategies. We can also use AI to provide that predictive insights into a legal matter. So AI can be used in the legal sector to provide, for example, the case summarization, document analysis. So we have tools like the EPIC AI, which automates document review, legal transcriptions, improves legal writing, and also the argument structuring. All that is part of legal aspect. We also have decision support systems. So AI is used in helping come up with a decision. So we have a case, and this case has one argument for the plaintiff, the other argument for the defendant. So the AI can be used to listen to both arguments and then provide, help make a decision. So we can use that to predict the outcome based on historical case patterns. So we can see, okay, this case is similar to the case between so-and-so, which happened on this time and this time. And this is how the judgment went. This is how the proceedings took place. And this was the judgment that was taken. So we can use AI to actually mimic that and, help in faster processing of cases. There are other things that AI can do in courtroom administration, transcribers. We have tools like the Otters AI. The Otter AI helps in transcription. I use that a lot. I use that to attend meetings. If you send me a meeting invite, most probably you'll see two of my names somewhere. So you'll see my name and another name, which is a chatbot, and that will be the one taking notes on my behalf. So they'll summarize the entire proceedings for me, and then they transcribe the whole meeting happenings. So that's my take when it comes to AI within the legal framework. So AI can, there are ethical considerations that we have to take into account as we adapt AI within the legal jurisdiction. But thank you. Dr. Nordin, or we can start with the Professor Robert. If somebody can respond to Lawrence or Jerry, Dr. Katerega, if you're ready. Oh, I have Robert ready. Thank you. Go ahead, Robert. Professor.
Yes, I'll respond to the educator effectively trained and leveraging AI. I think at least within our university, we are making it's actually a degree program being created now in AI. I think a lot of work is being done right now to educate not only the professors, but the students as well on the role of AI. So in the classroom, quite frankly, I think right now it's really exploration. We're all exploring and learning and applying where we can, and again, taking guidance from leadership as we can. So, it's really just because it's so new. I think from an education standpoint, and others on the call, please chime in on this. I think we're still learning, how to do this from a teaching perspective. But first and foremost, as I said earlier, if you don't embrace it and work with it, then it won't become a teaching tool for you. Does that answer the question?
Okay.
Yes, yes, you did answer the question. Thanks.
I can also come in to compliment Professor Robert. I happen to be working with the University of Revere as a member of the board and the member of the curriculum board. And recently we had a new curriculum, I mean, a new course that has been trying to come into our committee. They are trying to ask whether we can have applied AI, artificial intelligence course. And it's my concern in the meeting was that we have got a lot of people that have developed applications, and these applications are all over, and people are getting a lot of money for these applications. Right now, what is most important is how can we use these applications in making work done? This generation right now we are going to is not about developing systems, it's about the implementation and the use of these systems in making work done. Take, for example, I think Professor Robert has talked about it, that many people think have the mindset itself is still very down, that people think when you use AI, you are cheating. When you use AI, you are not doing original work, which is a misnomer. In the world of technology, we utilize all the technologies that we need to have to ensure that we obtain the best, and then also use the maximum, optimize the time that we need to do things. So I would say that the direction to the use of AI is too much on how can we efficiently use AI in our day-to-day work. Then I think then brings in another issue of someone who was talking about scholarships. They think possibly scholarship bodies are thinking that we're using AI, which is unacceptable. But again, as you try to apply for anything, try also to understand the policy behind the system, the policy behind the organization that is setting up their precedent. In such situations, then of course, you have to understand how you can use AI. There are so many ways you can use AI without realizing the patterns of AI. Take, for example, Professor Samson Ogola has talked about different tools that you can use to remove AI patterns. Even in the prompting, when you are prompting, because tomorrow we'll be having a very good conversation on prompting and establishing proper ways by which you can create a very good prompt and how you can use prompts to make the work, your question answered. Then there are so many ways you can eliminate AI patterns in your submissions, especially when you're submitting for a scholarship. We shall look at some of these tools. Then on another aspect of how can educators be effectively trained to leverage AI tools in their classroom while maintaining their pedagogical expertise. I happen to have done my second PhD in artificial intelligence, computer science, artificial intelligence. And my topic of conversation, my topic of the dissertation or the thesis is about that very topic you are talking about, leveraging AI in training without jeopardizing the pedagogical approaches. And tomorrow, those who will join tomorrow's session, especially those that in the academia, we shall leverage that discussion and have a very good deduction over that. Then just a supplement on Dr. Samson's submission regarding conversation regarding the legal system, which was asked by I also recognize, I want to recognize Judge, Supreme Court Judge. I mean, is it high? I'm not very conversant with Ugandan systems, but Judge, your Justice Farouk Rubega is a judge, he's on, and he has asked a question which is pertinent. That question is about how can we leverage AI? AI in the legal framework, as Dr. Samson has mentioned, is now becoming a very interesting thing to think about, because there's a lot of backlog of cases in the world. All systems in the world, they are having backlogs. And with the use of AI, you can speed up judgment through all the tools that Dr. Samson has talked about. So we can easily automate cases by using AI tools, which can easily detect connection or connectedness and discrepancies in submission of different sides of the case, and then it brings out a quick draft of judgment, which can explain areas of discrepancies and areas of strength, and that makes the judge quite easy to identify which area can make the case stronger in terms of judgment. And also to the other side of the lawyers or the attorneys who are trying to discuss their case, they can always use AI to bring together different evidences from the Constitution or from the legal system, as well as from the public domain. So in that respect, we are open to different discussions, especially when it is a specific discussion that you bring over to AI Global Innovation Forum. We would always be happy to schedule a conversation with your team, whether it's a university or a legal system or anything. We can always have a different separate particular webinar that can delve deep into such a kind of topic. Thank you very much. I think tomorrow's discussion is going to be particularly on issues to do with tomorrow's discussion is going to be basically on the services of the academia, and we shall delve deep into the academia. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Robert and Dr. Katurega, for that. I just want to show something now that Farouk asked this question. This is the typical page. If you can see my screen, I have a typical page for ChatGPT, which is pretty much one of the tools in AI. And you can see that you can ask any question. So I'm going to, for example, I want a case summarization, right? So I'm going to look for a case that is related maybe to corruption in the jurisdiction, maybe Republic of Kenya. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to summarize the case of maybe the case name. I may not have the name. You can specify the year, and you can even find out what was ruled by the court and highlight some facts and arguments. So I can put a simple prompt like this: summarize the key precedents related to alleged corruption from Kenya, and also maybe provide analysis of how they influence the current legal interpretations. So if I hit this search, ChatGPT will be able to help me get insights about this particular case. So you can see a few cases that you can rely on, you can use as reference. It's talking about a case of the Republic versus Joshua Kulei of 2003, and it gives you a full summary because that's what I asked for. And you can do a lot more with tools like ChatGPT. You can draft like legal opinions, based on that. We can say, for example, draft a legal opinion on the case details. So if we have this case of Goldenberg, I can say draft. Yeah, so it's still processing, but it is processing the other previous prompt because I left it open, so it's giving me a lot of cases. So I'm just gonna stop it, and let's do another case here. So we just want to summarize that case. Oh, my spelling for draft wasn't correct, so I'll just edit that. But it will understand, even if you mistype something, the AI tools are quick to detect that there's a typo, and they can still give you what you're looking for. So the legal opinion as per the case of Goldenberg, this was in 2006, so one of the biggest cases in Kenya that led to a lot of money being lost by the Republic of Kenya. So you can see a lot of information we're getting from this. So this is just an example. Tomorrow we'll be showcasing a lot of this when it comes to education and how we can utilize AI in education. But again, thank you so much. Back to the moderator.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samson. Thank you for the time taken to respond to all these questions. Also, thank you, Dr. Robert and Dr. Katerga, Professor Robert. Please, we are just at the top of the hour and would like to turn to Motes to answer some, to come to us and talk to us. We have so many questions online. However, we may not be able to answer all of them due to time factor, but permit me read a few for appreciation. Kevin Abel says, thanks for this insight. How can AI address the learning gaps with the special needs students? Moses Achema, he says, MBA students, he's from Muni University, good in Uganda. Thank you for this forward-thinking initiative. How can I effectively and ethically align my human soft skills with the different AI tools without depending on them? Dr. Agata, the coordinator of BSU Gulu University, says AI is indeed the way to go. Thank you, Professor Robert and Dr. Nordin. Dr. Poole asked, based on your personal experience, he's asking Professor Robert, how do you see the connection between AI and business startup? I am particularly interested in understanding how AI can influence the success and growth of new ventures from your perspective, Dr. Paul. Thank you, Dr. Professor Robert, for responding to Dr. There is the response. So on this note, let's invite our next speaker, presenter, that is Mr. Mattels. You will tell us how you really pronounce the name. Thank you. Over to you.
Delighted to thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Mateusz, but I do go by Matt, if that's easier for the audience. And let me just put my presentation on screen. All right. I hope you can see it right now on my screen. Excellent. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's my great pleasure and honor to come today to this wonderful forum and share some of my thoughts about topics that I'm very, very passionate about. And that's the use of inclusive AI-driven language products for the purpose of making sure that the global knowledge is accessible to every single person. Few words about myself. My name is Mateusz Sasinowski. I was born and raised in Poland, but spent most of my adult life in China and in the US. I moved to the USA 6 years ago, and today I'm connecting from New Jersey, where we finally start to see some spring weather. So that's a great background for this talk today. I've been engaged in the language industry for close to 2 decades now, doing multiple different functions. Right now, at this moment, I'm leading a large team in a language service company. We do any sort of language product. Most of that would be translation, but we also do multimedia, marketing, software website translations, and also alternative formats like Braille or large print. Recently, we also started to work a lot with linguistic data, things like checking for bias in the data used for training large language models and similar interesting opportunities. What I would like to talk about today would be, and I want to say I love the engagement. There were many excellent questions asked already on in the chat. I will touch upon some of them, I do want to go through some basic questions. Why we even think about the importance of languages, to mention a couple of AI-driven language products, but I really want to focus on the way we, all of us, can leverage AI in education and legal assistance, which coincides very much with the questions. I will bring some case studies, but I really encourage you to think of my presentation as a call, an inspirational call. It's difficult to kind of contain all that's happening right now, all that's very exciting in just 20 minutes. But I hope I will leave some inspiration that all of you can then take as a takeaway and build upon it. I will finish my presentation with mentioning some of the challenges and ethical considerations and leave call to action. So starting with a very basic question, why do we even think and worry about language access, right? We enjoy a wonderful variety of languages worldwide, right? More than 7,000 languages are still being spoken, and more than 2,000 of them just in Africa, making Africa the most linguistically diverse continent. So that's a large number, right? And obviously there's a very small number of dominant language worldwide, right? But they really, behind them, there's this wonderful diversity and the rich culture that we should preserve, and we should allow people to engage with scholarship, education, and business in their own first language, right? Especially that less than 20% of the world population is actually fluent in English, and that includes both speakers of English as the first language, and also people like myself who feel confident in using English as a second language, right? But even for those people, there is multiple research that, and also a business practice that shows that people who are fluent in English, they still might engage deeply and in a much more meaningful way if they can use their own first language, which is especially pertinent for students, right? For young people who are undergoing the education, to engage them, to really make them excited about all the things they can learn. It's often much, much better, much more efficient to use a language that they use at home and feel a deeper emotional connection. So on the basis of that, a company like mine and the whole industry has been using multiple AI-driven language products, right? The basic definition would be kind of any product or any content that is produced using some sort of automated solution. The language industry is actually in a very beneficial position right now, as we've been using technology for a long, long way. I'm pretty sure all of you are aware of machine translation, which has become the backbone of what we do, but it's also not a very new technology. Like MT was developed about 60 years ago and became market ready, became mature maybe 20 to 15 years ago. So it's not new anymore, right? And it's really part of what we do on a daily basis. In addition to that, there's also different sort of technologies like speech recognition or text to speech or image to text tools, right? All of that functions to serve people in a way, to give them access to language in the way they prefer to. Lastly, what has changed recently is the advent of generative AI, which is pretty different from what we are used to do in our business, as it allows to create content in a different language directly, right? There's no need for translation anymore in some cases. And that's a big, big shift that allows to do many exciting things. And that's where my focus will be today. So starting with education, there are obviously multiple uses in education, but I like what Professor Robert mentioned, and I want to preface my speech as well. I feel on a global scale, we are very much in the exploratory stage, right? There are many options and we kind of feel there's a potential, but not much certainty on what really works, right? So people are trying different things, and some people are more successful than others, right? But it's safe to say that the near future will be highly impacted by people who can use AI to their benefit, right? From my perspective, things that AI can help the audience globally would be AI allows for translation of learning materials, right? A lot of scientific research, especially on a kind of the high quality, is done in a very limited number of languages, right? It would be maybe 5 dominant languages. And that knowledge doesn't necessarily become accessible immediately to people who do not speak these languages, right? So by using cheap cost AI powered translation, right, that anyone can leverage, we can spread that knowledge immediately, right, even to people who might not be fluent in a particular language. One use case that I'm very interested in is personalized AI tutors, right? So even using ChatGPT allows to imitate a human conversation, right? And allows to imitate how an instructor would talk and educate a student, right? It allows for a high degree of flexibility and also infinite patience on the machine side, which is a very important element. So that's something I would like to highlight as a very promising use case of AI. I would go as far as say it might be one of the most exciting, at least from my perspective. In addition to that, there's also all the things that AI can do in terms of routine kind of administrative tasks, right? Many of you work in education, so you definitely deeply understand how much time you have to spend on grading, providing feedback, generating lessons plan, or generating other sort of content. All of that is a time that is not spent with the students, right? And that's really what we want to maximize. The human interaction is extremely important in a high quality education. So if AI can take off the burden of this kind of automated routine task, that should free up educators' time and attention to do what really makes change, and that's the time spent with the students. Staying for a second with education, there's also one more big benefit of that being AI can allow for much more localized content, by which I mean content that's relevant to audience in a particular country, place, on a particular community, right? It's very, very important for people, in order to engage deeply and to be interested about topic, it's very important to make sure we talk about things that matter on a local level, right? Not necessarily a global level. And that's where AI, again, can step in by making sure that the kind of global knowledge we create collectively can be adapted, can be localized, and then can create more connection to people in different parts of the world, right? That might not have the same access to global news as well. I thought about a specific case study. So when we think about the importance of environmental protection, which is a topic that unites all of us worldwide, a lot of the global media is concentrated on what's happening on the Western Hemisphere, right? So I'm pretty sure we all heard here about the wildfires in California and LA recently. And that's of course very important, but I think we could do better about making sure we speak to audience in different parts of the world about things that are closer to them and have much more direct impact, right? So I was thinking about the challenge of deforestation happening in Côte d'Ivoire, right? So with AI, it's much easier. It's easier and also very cheap to generate content on the topic, but making sure it really resonates with population of Côte d'Ivoire, right? And not only in French, that's not really a big challenge, right? But there are more than 60 languages spoken in Côte d'Ivoire, and many of them do not really get the same level of attention, right? And AI can generate content in any of these languages and then allow to have a conversation with the students about the importance of environmental protection with something that is really close to all the students and affects them on a day-to-day basis. So there are multiple examples of that, but the general idea is to making sure that the global knowledge really resonates on a local level with the people we want to teach and become the future citizens. Many people today brought the legal aspect, and we are honored to have so many experts on the topic. So I just want to touch upon it again, from my perspective. The language barriers are a significant challenge in any legal situation, right? No one likes to be in a situation when there's a legal assistance needed, right? It's already stressful enough. And the unfortunate reality is that the legal language is very specific, right? It's difficult to understand even if you are fluent in a particular language. It's very jargon-based and requires certain educational background to even comprehend it in the first language, right? That's where AI really excels. It's great at summarizing content, great at simplifying as well, and changing the register it uses, right? So from this highly technical jargon to a kind of common speech, and that allows people who previously did not have access to legal aid or couldn't afford it to really understand independently on what's happening, what are the options, and how to protect your own interests in a stressful situation. Adding to that, obviously, translation is a big element of that. So if let's say in a particular country, there's a difference between the official language and the local languages, right? That we can translate from the official language, again, using AI, so that's very cheap and very fast and very easy, into the first language of a particular stakeholder. So that's also a big benefit. I was thinking again about a case study, and I'm sorry, before that. Same with chatbots, right? A chatbot allow for a very custom made a conversation about a legal case, right? So it's really, they can mimic an interaction with a lawyer, right? For people who might not have an access to an actual lawyer, or again, cannot afford that. A chatbot can answer questions, can summarize, can offer advice, which of course should be taken with some critical thinking, but can at least list certain options that many people might not be aware to begin with, right? So that's a very promising use of AI. I was thinking about a case study, and I've read recently a wonderful article in The Atlantic about the Serengeti National Park, where there's an ongoing conversation about the rights of Maasai people who feel not represented in the conversation about the future of the national park, right? So I was thinking that giving everyone their equal, fair, and easy access to a legal assistance and legal tools might be beneficial for people who are oftentimes less represented in a particular legal situation. And everything I said was obviously focusing on the positives, right, and on the promises of AI, but we do need to be crystal clear and clear-eyed on the challenges of using AI. AI is an extremely powerful tool, and by being so powerful, it does call for a responsible use, right? It can create harm, right? It can be a detrimental tool. So fortunately, there's a lot of attention, and I think there are many experts who give good advice and practices on what to think about. And we know what to do, what to be cautious about. So a few of these things we know that there's a bias in existing language models, and that bias might be a racial, gender, or religious bias, right? As it's just capture the existing data from the internet without sufficient clearing of that data. So we need to be very, very careful when using these models, right? We need to apply our common sense and also our values while using that content, right? There's obviously also a great gap between languages, right? The few major dominant languages are very well represented in AI tools, but many local languages are not, right? And specifically for the African context, the lack of digital data for many of the languages is a barrier that is a very difficult to overcome at this point. Then using AI should always be a conversation with the local culture, right? AI is just a tool, and it's very, it's in a way, it's rigid in the sense it does what it's designed for and doesn't always take into consideration the cultural aspect of it, right? It doesn't easily engage in a dialogue with local cultures. We should take that into consideration. Okay. Things like not every community is willing to embrace modern technology, right? Not every community is interested in that. Not every community has the same needs, right? So we should be cognizant of that and really engage in a dialogue without having a preconceived ideas. Lastly, and I think that's the most important element, is AI needs to be used in a pair, in a dialogue with human, right? AI will not replace our human creativity, our critical thinking, and also our social connections, right? We need to be part of any conversation that includes AI and make sure we use it in a way that really resolves problems instead of creating new ones. To finish my presentation, a few call to actions or maybe an ideas on what to really focus our attention. I feel, and it's a kind of sad to me to think about how many languages are still not represented digitally, right? Like there's not that much data online for so many languages. And there's a lot of effort, fortunately, happening worldwide to make sure we preserve languages in a digital form, just for the sake of preservation, as many languages are slowly fading out. But now it's becoming even more pressing, as without sufficient amount of digital data, there's no way to create language models that are really the foundation of modern AI. So I do encourage interest in that particular initiative. Then AI, implementation of AI always should be a collaboration between the AI engineers, the AI developers, and the local communities that it's supposed to serve, right? AI needs to resolve problems, but these problems need really to be defined by the communities that are affected by it, right? It's sometimes easy to see a gap between the promises of technology and how sophisticated and wonderful they are, but the actual impact is limited because there's no conversation, there's no collaboration between these two parties. Lastly, ethical AI development, that's a big term that involves many different elements, but we need to be aware that there are certain ethical concerns with any AI use on a large scale. And again, I saw in today's questions that many of you are deeply interested in that, and that's very, very heartwarming. So please, let's all be aware of that. And that's basically it. I'll be happy to take any questions, comments. I'm also happy to connect on LinkedIn if any of you would like to continue our conversation. Thank you again so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mateus. Thank you very much for the presentation. Before you receive, we open the door for questions. Permit me recognize the presence of the following: Dr. Agatha
Thank you.
Yeah, she's the BSU coordinator, one of the partners supporting this session, this webinar. We also have Dr. Jerry Bagaya. Permit me say, Dr. Jerry is a member of the top management of Gulu University. Doctor, you're most welcome onto this platform. Dr. Jerry, are you there? Okay. Allow me also recognize the presence of participants from all over the world, from Uganda, from Kenya, from US, and all other countries not mentioned here. But thank you for joining this webinar. On this note, also, let's open the door. And I would like to say, Dr. Agatha, you've been following keenly this presentation by Martez. Would you like to moderate the discussions following? Dr. Agatha?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have just arrived from Gulu. I was in the bus, following from the bus. I'd like to thank you so much for raising critical issues on the use of AI and how for the global north. And at this point, fans ask questions, give us their thoughts, share with us their mind about this particular presentation. And as for me, who is carrying out research and documenting the Lendu history, I tried using ChatGPT, but I could not get information until at one point when my first publication came out. Then I began directing ChatGPT towards giving me information on the Lendu. And I discovered that indeed it uses data which has been saved in the cloud. So these are very important things for us to note, to take note of as scholars who intend to use ChatGPT and also who intend to use artificial intelligence for teaching, learning, and research. Back to you, Robert. Can you help moderate, since I've just jumped out of the bus and arrived home?
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. We understand. So let's, Dr. Samson, you will continue with the moderation. Before you do that, permit me read this response you gave. Ugandan universities like Gulu University must protect students on AI platforms by complying with the Data Protection and Privacy Act 2019, encrypting data, enforcing consent-based processing, and ensuring AI fairness. Strong cybersecurity, vendor accountability, and breach response plan will enhance learning while safeguarding privacy, security, and ethical AI use. Thank you very much. And I'm very sure our ARR, Dr. Jerry, is reading this. And this is also partly answering the question he posed earlier on. Yes, over to you, Sam.
Dr. Samson, unmute yourself.
Unmute. You're mute.
Please unmute.
Dr. Sam, you are mute.
Now you can hear me, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to say thank you for that wonderful presentation that we just concluded. It's indeed so exciting to see how AI is revolutionizing and being the way to go. At this point, I'm just going to be opening up for more questions. If we have any more questions regarding the last presentation, if you need more clarifications, then this is the time to have the fun. So back to the floor. If we have questions, let me see it by hands. All right. So I see Margaret raising her hands.
Yeah,
can you get
Dr. Sampson? I wanted to just have a small note to Mr. Matthäus's presentation.
Go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate. I happen to be a professor of artificial intelligence at Mwanuru University right now, and one of the two things that I wanted to put people's notice, I mean the attendant's notice, is that artificial intelligence, just responding to Professor Agatha's concern, I think, and other people regarding privacy and lack of information regarding particular ethnicity or particular group of people. In the back end of developing systems, especially artificial intelligence systems, we have what we call AI domains. The AI domain is where the AI systems, especially the pre-trained models. When I talk about pre-trained models, I'm talking about those which are already built. And when you ask a question, the so-called algorithm or the tools that go to search for the information, we call them algorithm, they go into two areas. The first one is called the public domain. The public domain is where whoever does anything or writes any comment or publishes any book or makes a video, whatever kind of publication, the information goes to the public domain, and that public domain is where the algorithms go and collect data. We call it a database or knowledge base. And secondly, another one is what we call the private AI domain. The private AI domain is where those domain or area of source of knowledge which is protected. Like if it's a bank, and you develop some data which you don't want to go to the public, then you protect that data or that information and keep it somewhere. That is what we call the private AI domain. If it is, for example, a legal framework, and then you develop your system and confine yourself to those systems or to that knowledge base, then that one is called the private AI domain. Now, here is how it plays. When you write any document, it becomes historical data that goes into the public domain if you take it to the public. And that information has two things. One, it is as is published, whether it has discrepancies in terms of authenticity or factual area, it will be there. So it's now the role of the algorithm to go and find out which information is relevant depending on the key descriptional words that you use in your prompt. So when it goes there, it also does what we call authentication of information. And that authentication comes up in an area where we say it is the level of the training of the model. And we call it, we have, I don't want to go deep into the language. However, so what is very pertinent in this aspect is that the information that we get in pre-trained models try to show exactly what is in the public domain. And as we try to use such information, it might have some kind of lag in authentication. So that is very, very important. That's why, like Dr. Agatha mentioned, when you try to look for some information, you might not be able to get it because it's not in the public domain. Artificial intelligence does not create its own domain. It sends algorithm to different domains and then pick information from there. So as authors, we need to write as many publications to make as much research on such information that you want AI to play around with. Then finally, on the same note, is that what we have to understand is that AI systems are there are different types of AI systems. They are what we call advanced systems with what we call extended logical inference knowledge, because they can reason beyond what data you have sent to collect. For example, you might send its algorithm to go and collect data about a particular case for the legal framework, and then it goes and collects all the information about that case, and then it makes what we call inference. Inference is a kind of logical reasoning to make a conclusion about a certain problem, because the main purpose of AI is to solve problems. That is the main purpose. So as we try to delve into this, we should understand that some of these tools are having high levels of inference. For example, systems that are developed by OpenAI. When you look at any product of OpenAI, that product is of great high magnitude of inference, and it goes into two things. It has two sources of knowledge. It has going to the knowledge base, and number two, it uses what we call learning from experience. And it uses that learning from experience and the knowledge base to determine a solution for the problem you are sending it to do. For the purpose of language, as Mr. Matthias has mentioned, as I try to the language, there are so many languages that have been pre-trained by an open AI model. And many of these languages have been acquired by AI systems through experience. For example, last week we were trying to develop a system with Guru University, and we are trying to train the system or the AI, the model, with local languages within northern Uganda. And it was very successful because it was learning from the interconnectedness of different dialects which range within those languages. So, as a matter of fact, we are having this conversation in that direction. But again, for organizations that want to benefit out of this conversation very well, we should always organize for specific conversation with specific topics of your interest. And then we can be able to go deep into these things, and then you'll be able to have a proper hands-on solution to your problem. Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Matthias, for your presentation. It has been wonderful. It was insightful, and it has given a clear picture of what AI does, especially in the language direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Katrega, for summing this up. How much time do we have, Mr. Moderator, so that we can proceed?
We have 22 minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I just wanted to, I'm from the education sector. If somebody can go on the chat and type for me which sector they represent, so that when we highlight AI use in your sector, we can point out one or two uses of AI in your sector. And again, just to help us understand what your needs kind of look like. So I'm from the education sector. So what sector do you represent? ICT, Alvin, thank you. All right, so AI, like you've seen today, we use education, Okello, banking sector. We have education and ICT. So we have a lot of sectors here. Let's see what AI is being used for in different sectors as we wind up this conversation. So we'll start with in the healthcare. I know there is nobody yet from the healthcare. but in healthcare, we've
Dr.
seen,
Sam.
yes.
Yes, sorry for, we had a hand up. Maybe we allow some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
Dr.
do
Margaret?
that. Go ahead, please.
Dr. Margaret, are you still there?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Thank you, the presenters and the organization of this seminar. I would like to appreciate especially the presentation of Matthews, and my concern. Oh, no, I'm not gonna do my video. I'm sorry. Okay. So my concern has kind of been addressed by the last segment that Dr. Nordin was talking about local languages and how we, especially in Africa, are represented on these databases of languages online and stuff like that. Actually, before Dr. Nordin spoke, but kind of coming from the presentation of Mateos, I was thinking that maybe AI would actually easily become a tool of hegemony once more, especially if we in Africa or the South in general maybe our languages are not represented in the available databases. Otherwise, we then have the experience that Dr. Alidri had, that our issues may not be represented out there and all our problems will not even be there, so that when we go search, we will actually be given answers of other cultures. And as we know, language is also the channel through which cultures are transmitted. And so I think that for those who are in the academia, we have a responsibility to our communities, to our societies, to ensure, for instance, that our languages and therefore our culture and our social issues and whatever they are out there, so our people can be able to access these and use AI meaningfully. It was not really a question, but some kind of a comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again for that insightful observation and comment. Doctor, do you want to react to that? Dr. Katerega or Professor Robert?
I think Matthias would be good to answer that first.
Matthias,
but I have also a point to mention as well.
I'll be delighted to, and that's a wonderful question. And there's definitely I think there's definitely a risk of increased hegemony of the dominant language, right, and the dominant culture behind that. That's unfortunately the reality of technology. And also, I come from a business sector, right? So I'm very attuned to just a basic facts like investment and money is much more concentrated in the English-speaking parts of the world. But I also see a glimmer of hope that AI is very expensive to develop to begin with, right? But it's still a very much intersection of academia and business, and there are many technologies that are open source. Just recently, the Chinese algorithms were made fully open source, which allows to train your own model on a very low cost and without also much technical expertise. So I see this being this continuing and allowing people with at least basic computer science knowledge to generate models in languages that are not represented by the capital flowing from the US, but that's really that resonates with our local audiences. So I think that my response would be, there's obviously a lot of human creativity and a lot of high quality education in Africa, right? So that should be sufficient to access these technologies, work with digital data that is stored in Africa, and then generate models that are much more pertinent to the local audience. So I remain cautiously optimistic, but I do think it's a valid concern. An excellent question. Thank you.
All right, we have a question from YouTube. I think that was Christine again. She's asking, any comment on women participation in AI development?
Dr. Samson, before we go to that, I want to just make a small comment about the question brought in by,
Okay.
You see, AI systems are very interesting. Like Mr. Mateus has said, it works on data preservation. And one of the things that is deterring unwell-developed communities in terms of obtaining data is because we have very few, maybe few anthropologists that have come up to get interest in such areas or such communities. However, some systems, if the trained systems, training a model is quite a kind of expensive thing, as Matthias has mentioned. It's quite a little expensive because it involves a lot of data search and research. However, in the near future, because as mentioned, AI is evolving every day and then. Those of you think about what AI was like 5 years ago, OpenAI it had what we call updating, and you could ask a question like 2 years ago, I mean, about anything in AI like GPT, and will tell you it's not yet updated. But right now, when you ask something, even if it is now 1 minute ago, it will tell you the answer because the evolution is going on so fast. So we are yet to see a lot of new things where information and data that is collected will be highly processed, that proactive and instant answers will be coming up for particular solutions, I mean, for particular problem to be solved. So in other words, anthropologists have to play a very big role, especially to the less known communities in Africa and even Latin America and deep in the Asian, so to document such information about those less known communities. However, most of these trained models that come up, especially in OpenAI, have tried to train almost in all known local languages, be it deep in Africa, be it deep in Eastern Asia, or even Latin America. You go there, ask a question in that language, it will be able to bring in the answer or the solution to that. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Dr. Nordin just mentioned about language. And recently I visited one of the platforms for the Kenyan government. And the whole idea was to see how they utilize AI. And so in Kenya, they speak different languages. English is the main language, and they have Swahili. And then there is a Sheng, which is a hybrid of Swahili and Bantu and some other dialects. So Sheng is like a confused language of a hybrid of many languages. And it's being used by the Gen Z and the younger generation, which makes the bigger population in the country. So the one thing I really admired about the language was that the AI system that they've implemented with the government portals understands the language that they speak. So I went there and I say, I want to register a business. So registering a business is a process that can be done online in Kenya today. You don't have to go to the physical office. And I wanted to use a language that is not common. So I say, I want to register a business in the Sheng, nataka kuregister business. And then I put that, it's not Swahili, it's not English, and it's a hybrid. And the system was able to understand that this guy is actually saying, I would like to register a business. And it took me through the process, the different steps of registering a business. And when you follow the entire steps within a couple of clicks here and there, I was able to successfully register a business following, if you follow all the prompts and submit everything that is needed. So that's the power of AI. AI should speak the language and understand people in their local languages as well. So that's a good point, Dr. Nordin. I had a question from the YouTube family. Somebody is asking about the role of, I think, women participation in AI development. And is there anybody who can respond to this about AI and women and participation, especially AI and STEM? Dr. Matthias, do you want to respond to?
Yeah, definitely. I can approach the topic. So what I think is very pertinent here is that AI is a tool that increases productivity and by that also increases the impact, right? And that's very relevant because then communities of people or even genders that might not have been previously equally represented in, let's say, STEM, might use AI to their benefit, to just create more impact, right? To be more vocal and have access to the more opportunities. AI can create opportunities, can list opportunities, right? And it's neutral and equal in the approach with the users, right? So I do see AI because how much it empower an individual user regardless of the of any sort of background, right? It should level out the playing field for people who were not previously represented, right? Obviously it benefits more people with certain fluency in using digital tools, right, and also using the languages. So there's the gap there, but speaking from experience and also speaking from at least what's happening in the countries I lived in, STEM education is being highly promoted to young girls and women, right? And I see that as a very promising development. I hope that answered the question, at least approached it.
Yeah, certainly. You did well. You took us through the response to the question. Unless if there is any other reaction from the group. Any other reaction to the same question before we move to the next one? All right, so Christine, just to add to what Matthias has said, women in AI development play a very crucial role in shaping the ethical, the inclusivity, like he mentioned, and also the innovative nature of the AI solutions. So despite this progress, we appreciate that women have been underrepresented in the AI and the STEM fields. And so organizations are trying to work on mechanisms to harmonize this so that we are all at par. To encourage more participation, a focus needs to be encouraged on education, on mentorship, and just policy support to ensure there's equal opportunities for all. So in building the gender gap, for example, this is one way that we can use to integrate or to make sure that AI platforms provide access to everybody. You know, programs like Women in AI are already existing. You know, Google's DeepMind scholarships, which is available specifically to encourage female or women to participate in AI research. So we can utilize such kind of opportunities to help us bridge the gap in the tech. We also have AI job matching, you know, which allows AI systems to help women match them with remote or work from home jobs, flexible work environment, you know, especially for mothers and caregivers. You know, this is very important because they have additional responsibilities as mothers and caregivers. So the tools and platforms that can match them with jobs that support or that can offer that flexibility should be encouraged and implemented. There is also improving the health of women in general. AI tools and systems that allow for early disease detection. You know, tools like, for example, to detect breast cancer, you know, to do the breast cancer screening. This would actually improve the woman's health and the overall outcome in general. So we have telemedicine and things like the chatbot that help access to healthcare or bring the healthcare closer to the people. So that especially the unrepresented areas. So these are again areas that AI can be taken advantage of. So to fully leverage these benefits, we encourage more women in AI in leadership roles and to promote policies to ensure gender fairness, to ensure that we reduce that gap, especially for the diverse, to ensure equitability and a fairness for all. So women involvement is very, very important, and I really commend you for that question, Kristen. Do we have any other person? Other than that, I think I should be able to, I'm not seeing any hands up yet. So that means we're good. Let me look at the chat.
Dr. Samson, we had Alvin. Alvin was
yes.
Alvin is trying to ask why there is a bias in examples in AI. I would quickly answer that it's all about the prompt. Alvin, it's all about the prompt. You need to specify your area of interest in terms of the question, or when you set up your prompt, your question in any AI, you have to be very specific so that you can get the right answer from that direction. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Katrega, for that response. So, Alvin, I appreciate your question. It's about the bias, and it's about how you, you put your question across. If you ask the right question, you get the right answers. And if you don't ask the right question, there are chances that you're going to get something out of it that may not be what you're looking for. So that could be the lead to what is perceived to be a kind of a bias. And again, there's a lot. We have to remember we are training the AI models. So we don't want to be left behind as Africa. So we need to train our models with, like, a good example is what I was telling you about the language in Kenya, where they use the local dialect and so on. So we have a good example is facial recognition systems that there's a case some times back. I think Dr. Katerega, we shared this some times back, where there was a soap dispenser that wasn't able to recognize a particular person. Like when you put your hands on the soap dispenser, the soap wasn't able to come out. And if somebody else came in and put their hands, it was able to recognize that. So we need to ensure that tools are built that do not have any bias, it should recognize any hand, whether it's this or this, it should not have any discrimination whatsoever. This is one thing I would point out about that. How do we fix this? Increase in more data representation, increase in more data representation. Let's put in our be part of the training. Organizations are existing already in Africa that we can work with to improve AI for African languages. That can be, we can support them and work towards that. And I believe this forum is going to provide more detailed training in the future that will be focusing specifically on AI and how we can take advantage of AI in different sectors, whether it's in the banking sector, finance, in agriculture. We want to see AI being used in every sector in our society. Back to the moderator, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sam, for the moderation. I think with this, we come to the end of our day one of this webinar. I want to thank all the presenters. I would like to thank all the participants, and we look forward to see a bigger number tomorrow. Please invite others to come. I've received comments on my WhatsApp. Some people attempted to log in, but I think they were failing. Maybe tomorrow they will be able to be successful to join. Please note that tomorrow we look forward to bring the Vice Chancellor, Gulu University, to close the webinar. And we look forward to see that after the day tomorrow, arrangement will be made for further training to be conducted in different areas of interest. And a program will be released. However, you will need to register, and some small amount will be required of you to be able to be trained in as far as the next sections are concerned. So with that, thank you, Dr. Nordin, for initiating this arrangement together with Dr. Sam. And I want to say, may you say the last word, and we close the day today. Dr. Nordin.
Thank you very much, the moderator, for today. I am very, very privileged and happy to have this success in the first day. And our intent is to make sure that we make AI available and knowledgeable to everybody in Africa as well, particularly in Africa where we originate, regardless of where we are working from. That's why we are bringing on board people from different areas, from different backgrounds, from different ethnicity, from different areas of origin. You can see Mr. Matthias is from Poland, originally from Poland, but we have connections here in America. Dr. Samson is from Kenya. He's really having a very good connection in there. And then we have Professor Robert, who was initially in the first session. He is from the United States of America. He's a professor as well. So we are bringing people on board who can make people understand exactly where the world is trending to, and we use the technology that is available to make sure that we make our work easy and efficient. I appreciate everybody's contribution. I hope tomorrow, as mentioned, I hope everybody, those who are coming up tomorrow, to expect hands-on. We're gonna be doing hands-on experience, especially when it comes to teaching and learning as well as research. So the 2 hours of tomorrow are going to be hands-on. We expect professors who will be coming to facilitate these to have the tools on open, and then we go step by step on a particular skill or particular way of solving a problem in AI. Remember, AI is here to stay, but it's not here to take your job. But as Professor Robert said, AI will take, people trained in AI will take up your job if you don't work on it. Thank you very much, everybody. I stand to appreciate the presence of your lordship. Is it lordship? I don't know but the Justice of the High Court of Uganda, Honorable Farouk Rubega, is present. Thank you very much. We appreciate your presence, and I think the legal profession has been really represented. I thank very much Gulu University for their wonderful job of trying to, promote this AI innovation global in conjunction with their organizations that are really coming up to help people, and especially the youths, in trying to teach them healthy reproductive education. I thank very much Kate's Professional Services. I thank also Network Brothers Synergy Limited. I thank also TechTeds Inc. All these organizations have been very pertinent in making this work effective. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at the same time, and hope to see you and be blessed. Thank you very much. St. Thomas Aid and Initiative is also one of the sponsors. I'm sorry I had not looked at, I hadn't looked at the table of the sponsors, but St. Thomas and Initiative based in Kenya, is one of the organizations that are really helping us achieve this milestone of the webinar. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope to see you tomorrow, and be blessed and have a wonderful day.
See you tomorrow, same time, same time. Yes.
Bye-bye, and have a
Bye.
good day.
Yes.
Recording stop.